Hello, boys and girls. It's that time again. It's time for the Successful Home Inspector Show, where we're here to share some funny home inspection stories, maybe some funny things that you found, how to increase your business. We're going to hear some success stories, maybe some stories that weren't so successful. Maybe we can learn from them. And we're going to share some resources here with you that help increase your business, and we're hoping to help raise the level of the industry as well. So sit back, and here's your host for the Successful Home Inspector Show, Preston Sandlin. Thanks a lot. Are you struggling to make your home inspection business grow? Well, have I got the answer for you. HomeInspectionFlyers.com. At HomeInspectionFlyers.com, you get 5 flyers a month. There are 3 sales flyers and 2 recipe flyers. And you can customize them to exactly what you want. And these make great flyers when you go to the offices to put in their boxes, especially if you're doing like candy bowls or something along that nature. Like I said, it's 5 flyers a month for $29.99, and they're very creative. And you just put in your information. They come as a publisher file, and you just put in your information, and then you send them off to get printed. You can send them off online, and you can get color copies for less than 10 cents a copy. It's a great way to go. I went from being a 1-man home inspection firm to a 7-man home inspection firm on this one strategy alone. So try it today. HomeInspectionFlyers.com. Thanks.
All right. Well, we are here with, you guys are in for a special treat today. We are here with a celebrity among home inspectors. This guy has been on HGTV. He has 2 books out. He has a regular radio show, and we'll forgive him for being a Jacksonville Jaguars fan. But other than that, great guy. We are here with Wally Conway. So, Wally, tell us a little bit about yourself, because we'd like to get to know you personally.
Well, Preston, I'm excited to be with you. I thank you. I'm flattered, and yes, I'm a Jacksonville Jaguar fan. Short version of the story, grew up in Camden, New Jersey. I got over that. Escaped from there, went off to the Naval Academy, became a Navy pilot. I wasn't able to become an artist, so I ended up as a Navy pilot. Retired from that in 94. Prior to retiring, in the early to mid-'80s, I started as an owner-builder. I'd build a house, move in, build a house, move in. Right. Ended up with a contractor's license. So when I retired in 94, I figured I was terminally unemployable. So I started Home Pro Inspections, and here we are 21 years and 30,000-plus houses later.
Sweet, sweet. Now, Wally, you were weren't you a Navy pilot?
I was, yeah. I was a Navy pilot, flew off of 6 different aircraft carriers over a near 20-year career at that. And now 20 years plus in the home inspection business. I think every 20 years I should make a change. It seemed like, Preston, the first 20 years of my life I lived with my mama. The next 20 years I lived with Uncle Sugar. And then the last 20 years I've been doing this home inspector thing with guys like you. So I'm ready for a change if you think of something.
I hear you. And well, I do have two follow-up questions. What type of planes did you fly? Yeah, just out of curiosity. What?
For the most part, I flew H-3 Sea Kings, and then because of different staff assignments and whatnot, I've had an opportunity to go in just about anything that held more than one person. So I've actually been upside down at the speed of sound in an F-14 Tomcat. So it was a good ride.
Cool, man. It sounds fun to be Wally.
But I can't draw.
Oh, please. Well, tell me a little bit about your HGTV and your radio show too. Tell us a little bit about that. I think you were like one of the original guys. And is there any way we can see some of those episodes? Are they on Hulu or anything? Or Well, go ahead.
Well, that's a good question. It really, my whole role in media started sort of serendipitous. I would get asked at different times, will you try this? Will you do that? And I have a long, long history of saying yes. Maybe back to the Navy pilot days, there's not much in home inspections that looks very scary. There's not much in media that looks very scary after being a Navy pilot. So I saw all these things as exciting, as challenges, as adventures, rather than fearful things. And the outgrowth of that is, rather than be in a situation like so many small businesses where you're always purchasing advertising and purchasing media, we've rolled ourselves into a position over the years where our marketing is actually a profit center.
Right,
We
right.
make more money in and around media than our advertising costs. So that
Right.
really played out well, and the HGTV was a real anchor to that. Having been on HGTV is a little bit like having been in the Olympics.
Right,
You only
right.
do it once, and you can say it forever, or maybe like a Super Bowl. Same thing. So we've leveraged those past opportunities. It was on for 4 years, the first 4 years of the show, and so it's been a long time, but it still has value truly every single day in our marketing and business development.
Absolutely. Was it House Detective? Was that the one you were doing?
Well, I did 4 years on House Detective, and then when that transitioned to become a West Coast show, we created a new show, or the producers created it, and 3 of us ended up doing another year or so on DIY Network and a show called Finders Fixers.
Oh, okay. I'm going to see if I can find some old episodes. Anytime you can see Wally, you always learn something. I was on Wally. My first sale HGTV show came to Charlotte, and I was on 2 episodes. And I went out there, kind of like you were saying. I went out there. They filmed me for 3 hours doing the whole inspection. I found out when the show was on, called all my friends, everybody. It was like you said, like Super Bowl. We all gathered around, and I was on there for 8 seconds.
Yeah, it goes quick. But I will tell you, Preston, not only for you, but for anyone who has had any exposure in any media, large or small, doesn't matter, radio, television, print, whatever it might have been, you now forevermore can use the moniker as seen on HGTV. That is invaluable. We put that on almost everything that we do, as seen on DY. What was the name of that network? As seen on
HGTV. TV. Right.
Same with the radio show, as heard on News Talk WLOKV. We leverage those things continually. And what it does for your company, it gives you an assumed level of expertise and stature that's beyond anything a competitor can purchase.
Right,
It's impossible to compete with that. And that's one of the things that helps tremendously in the battle for price resistance.
Oh yeah, good stuff. And Wally has. We'll talk about this a little bit later in the interview. But Wally has a couple of books out, which I highly recommend reading. But we'll get into that here pretty soon. But Wally, so how long have you been doing inspections? And tell me about the changes you've seen.
Well, as I say, we started in '94, so it's been over 20 years. I'd say the change. It's more like what hasn't changed, Preston, when you really think about it. In Jacksonville, Florida, in 1994, there were 9 home inspectors in the Yellow Pages when I started.
Wow.
Well, now the Yellow Pages is virtually irrelevant. There's a change. And believe it or not, with the advent of licensing 3 years ago, there are 871 licensed inspectors with a Jacksonville address. So there's nearly 100 times the number of inspectors. But the number of inspections is essentially flat. It went up and it came down, it went up and came down, but it hasn't. Basically, we've got somewhere in the area of 20,000 events a year that can occur in the immediate vicinity. So big change there. I'd say there's a continual separation. They talk about the rich get rich and the poor get poorer. An expensive home inspection is a significantly larger number than it was 20 years ago, but so is a cheap one. It seems like the bottom's gotten lower and the top's gotten higher.
Right. Well, Wally, how many inspectors do you have?
5.
And I've met one. I knew you had one that moved up here right below us here in Rock Hill. Nice guy.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah,
he's a good guy.
Well, he retired. He's a chicken farmer now.
Hey, man, I tell you, these days I've come out of that crawl space. My father was a mortician, and I'm thinking, that mortician thing's looking pretty good right now. Well, Wally,
complaints, that's for sure.
Oh my gosh, yeah, exactly. You don't get many callbacks. Wally, tell us. There's probably a lot of listeners out there who are one-man shops thinking about hiring the first one. Take us back there. What was it like hiring that first inspector?
Well, that's really interesting to me because when I started this thing, I had no interest or intent of being a multi-inspector company. My goal was to work out of my house, be left alone, carry a clipboard, and just replace the difference between what I was earning on active duty as a pilot and what I earned in retirement. That was the initial idea.
Right.
That quickly went away.
Okay.
Within a year, we brought on the first fellow, a guy named Bob Wagner. Oh, he's since retired also. Everybody in my company's retired but me, but okay. But,
right.
I think what caused it to be successful in the multi-inspector, that transition from one to more, which is where so many people get called up. They either lose their behind or they train their competitor, all that. I had a core philosophy from the beginning that I actually got from my military days, and specifically from guys in the Marine Corps. And that was the senior man always eats last.
Right.
That far too many people, and it's not just in the home inspection business, it's in every business, when they try to go from being a sole practitioner to a multi-whatever, doesn't matter whether it's doctors or lawyers or home inspectors, they want to give that next person, that first person they're responsible for, they want to give them leftover work.
Right.
If you give them leftover work, you'll starve them. If they starve, they have no choice but to leave, and when most leave, they end up being a competitor. So I made a decision from day one, and it hasn't changed for a single day since then. The only money I want out of my home inspection company is the money that's left over after everybody else is paid and paid well. And that has given us the ability to attract some pretty good folks and retain some pretty good folks and pay the rent.
I hear you. Well, all you guys listening out there, Wally just dropped some gold nuggets on you. And I know there's a temptation when, let's say you got one guy and you got 3 inspections. There's a temptation for you to do 2 and give that guy the 1 left over. I would say it's like Wally. You do 1 and let the other guy do 2 and work on your business in that other time slot. But
exactly correct. Yeah, the most valuable thing a person can do in a home inspection business or any business is market the business. You know that well, Preston. I mean, you're a master at that. And by having that other person, that first person, doing as much work as he can physically do, that frees you up to do as much marketing as you can possibly do.
Yep.
And next thing you know, it plays out. Not to say that initial transition isn't rough. There's no way you can go to from one person to 2 people and not take a significant cut in your personal income.
Right.
That's just a fact of life. If you can't accept that, or you haven't prepared for that, or you're not willing to push through that, it's not a good thing to do.
Oh, you're dead on. I'm saying amen over here. Well, Wally, tell us. Now you have 5 inspectors. You've definitely had some that retired, and I've heard you don't finish with the ones you start with. But so, do you have a training process? And I know it all depends on their experience level, but tell us what that's like.
Well, for us, we try desperately to play at the highest end, both in terms of the quality of the people, the technology, the deliverable, the marketing, and all along the way. Since the advent of licensing, it's really changed our approach to training. They have to show up with a license. We've found it's impossible to take a person without a license and get them through that process. They need to do that on their own.
Right.
We target a minimum from a licensed person of 50 ride-alongs. We rely heavily these days on the online training at NACHI.
Okay.
A lot of other things, internal through that ride-along process to assure we've exposed them to as many things as possible. It's difficult. It really is. And as the expectation of the inspectors has gotten higher and higher and higher, we're doing WDO, which is what we call termite, I guess, in Florida. But WDO, the home inspection, we're using infrared. We've got mold equipment. I mean, we need really talented guys. But at the same time, we got guys making $60,000 to $85,000 a year. So if they're good and they work and they embrace the marketing concepts, they do real well.
Right.
We are absolutely skimming the cream of what's out there to try to attract the best people.
No, I if I ever retire, I'm going to come work for you, Wally. Tell me, do you, switching gears a little bit, Wally, do you have a success quote you could share with us?
A success quote?
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, I write a lot, I talk a lot, I speak a lot, but I write all my own stuff. Here you go. You ready? This is it for me.
Okay.
In a nutshell, I wrote this myself.
All right.
if you're not having fun doing your thing, you're doing the wrong thing or your thing wrong.
Oh, wow. Can I put that on Facebook? That's awesome.
You can put that anywhere you want. And I'll tell you, Preston, I learned that a really long time ago, and then I distilled it down to that one-liner. I kind of live my life by one-liners. Anything you can't express in a single sentence, you either didn't understand or it's not worth sharing.
Right. Man, that's awesome.
But that whole idea, if you're not having fun doing your thing, you're doing your thing wrong or the wrong thing, just says, in which part of your life or in which part of your business do you choose to be miserable?
Right.
I don't want to be miserable any part of it. So I spend a lot of time shedding tasks and people that don't fit into that.
Well, you need a reality show, man. I love talking to you. So, what? Again, this is probably not home inspection related, but what do you do in your spare time?
Oh, I really love having fun. Tanya and I are foodaholics, so we do a lot of traveling to various food adventures. We're going shortly. We are certified barbecue judges.
Oh,
so
wow.
Oh, yeah. I certified. I'm bona fide. I eat some barbecue. We're certified barbecue judges by the Kansas City Barbecue Society. That's real important.
Right.
We do a lot of traveling for food-related things. Truthfully, and you and I have done some of this together, we do a lot of traveling for fun in marketing and business development programs and whatnot, mastermind groups, things of that sort. So I consider that a piece of fun.
Right.
This year we're back into boating again. We bought what did we buy? 34-foot Sea Ray Express cruiser. So we spend a lot of time on the water. We go to football games, Jaguar games. So there's no shortage of fun and cool things to do. But I can honestly say a piece of my fun is marketing, business development, media-related things. So I'm having fun with you, Press. I'm having fun right now.
Me too.
To be totally candid,
yeah,
if I didn't think it was fun to hang out and chat with you and share ideas on business and fun and adventure, I would have just said, no, man, I'm too busy. I can't do that.
Right. No, I look forward to this call. But I thought the other day, Wally, I was in a Sam's Club, and they had those. You could buy a chicken coop in Sam's Club. And I remember the last time we talked, you were talking about getting some hens to raise eggs or something. Did you do that?
we're raising chickens. We actually have heritage chickens. You know how people have show dogs and show cats?
Right.
I got 3 show chickens. We don't show them, but I have a Rhode Island red of the Mohawk varietal, which her lineage was the world champion of all chickens in the world in New York City in 1896. Mohawk the 5th. Look it up.
Okay.
And then a pair of buff English Orpingtons. So
cool.
I got a chicken guy. I'm a big fan of finding deep expertise when you're interested in something. It doesn't matter whether it's marketing or infrared or chickens. But I got a chicken guru who guides me. I do. I've a chicken mentor. You got chicken McNuggets. I got a chicken mentor.
Hey, next time I see you, man, I have to tell you, I went with my wife's family. They're all from Kentucky. We went to a wedding up there, and we went to Claiborne Farms, which is like, Secretariat was there. They got this, talking about the lineage. They got a horse there, Warfront, and Warfront is a descendant way down the line from Man of War, which was, anyway, anything that has war or something like that is a lineage of that. Do you know that horse is $85 million? And do you know how much it costs if you have a mare that you want to, commingle? It's $150,000 to commingle with Warfront.
That's to commingle, and they don't guarantee.
Exactly. And
yeah.
I'm like, wow, us men, we have to buy dinner and these horses get $150,000. Wow. Anyway, before we go downhill on the show, we better move on. Well, tell us something people don't know about you, Wally.
Something people don't know. Well, I got to be honest with you, Preston. Between the radio and the television and writing books, that we do print newsletters, blogging. If there's something somebody doesn't know about me that it's worth knowing, they're either not paying attention or just not interested. I don't know.
Right.
I think I don't know, maybe I have a true commitment to lifelong learning.
Right.
And I think that doesn't sometimes show. Not to say I'm smarter than I appear, but much like the chicken thing, or you're learning about the thoroughbreds. I read. I have a reading chair. I have hundreds and hundreds of books and Kindle and whatnot. I read constantly, and I get fascinated about drilling deep down on some subject matter that's seemingly not related to our business in any way, and then find some way to integrate it in that's just fun or fascinating or whatever.
I'm right there with you, Wally. Because a lot of the stuff is beaten past, but if you can find something that, you go outside of our zone and you find something and figure out a way to relate it, it's like you're bringing something totally new. No, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, exactly correct. I mean, nobody wants to hear more about home inspections. Even home inspectors don't want to hear more about home inspections. We need to know it. There's an expectation that we're expert at it. But what makes you fascinating, or me fascinating, or any other home inspector fascinating, is all the things in the wrapper around it.
Right.
Whether it's your artwork or the things you do with your daughters or your stuff with the Panthers and similar things with me. That's what makes us human, so people want to engage us. And then we can slip in whatever we'd like to slip in about home inspecting. People do business with people they know, people they trust, people they like. You and I have heard that together,
right,
hundreds or thousands of times. And another interesting thing, I believe, when you read a lot and study a lot and get interested in diverse things, is people, if they see that you're credible and bright in one area, they make the leap that you must be credible and bright in another area.
Oh yeah, that's good insight. I hadn't thought about that, but you're exactly correct, Wally. Well, Wally, you know as well as I do, if you do enough inspections, you're going to have an unhappy camper. How do you handle an unhappy camper? Do you have a process, and what does that look like?
Well, that's where all that military training comes in. Right. We just take them out.
I hear you.
You're right. I'm going to guess it's about every 300 to 500 inspections, somebody becomes unhappy. To me, the most important thing is to truly listen and care that they're unhappy.
Right.
The first part of any complaint resolution for me is acknowledging that they're unhappy. It doesn't matter if they're crazy. It doesn't matter if they're right or wrong. That initial step is, I understand that you're disappointed. I understand that you're frustrated. I understand that we didn't meet your expectations. I'm very sorry that occurred. Let's figure out how we got to this position and how we can honorably and honestly move forward and go that route. And I'm always looking for a point or place of concession that's honorable for both.
Right.
It costs me just as much money to drive somewhere and listen to someone rant and rave as it does to engage them by phone and find out, well, what can I do, Preston, to cause you to feel good about the company? What can I do to get you out of this rut? And very often, that's just enough to make it all go away, that they got to vent. Somebody stood up and said, it's on me. Tell me how to make it right. Just tell me what it is. I've had lots of people, and maybe you have also, just say, no, it's okay. I just wanted to vent. Okay, thank you for venting. I don't care.
Right. Yeah, I've had a few of those, and of course I've had the other, but no, you're dead on. You're dead on, Wally. Wally, this is a good spot here to pause for our sponsors that help pay for our podcast here. So I'm going to pause for just a second.
Hey, home inspectors out there, I'm going to tell you a creative, inexpensive way to increase your business massively. Go to homeinspectionflyers.com and get the flyers. You get 5 flyers a month. You customize them to yourself. They're turnkey, they're creative, and it's $29 a month for 5 flyers. That's less than $6 a flyer. And they are done by yours truly, Preston Sandlin. And I am a creative guy, especially when I don't take my medication. But I come up with some crazy stuff. It works for my business. I went from 1 inspector to 7 inspectors with this strategy alone. So again, for $29.95, you get 5 flyers. I do 1 per week. I send them off to get copied on the internet. I can get them for about 7 cents a piece, and I put them out in the boxes when I do my candy run. Works fantastic. homeinspectionflyers.com. Thanks.
All right. Well, we're back here with Wally. Wally, tell us about a time when you failed. Tell us, take us there, and what did you learn from it?
Well, I failed at art lessons. I failed at playing the guitar.
Okay.
No, I guess they're ongoing. They really are. But specific to business failures, it every single year I start off the year with some big, hairy, audacious goofball idea to try to integrate it into the company. And some of them have been reasonably successful, and some of them have just been a total waste of time and money. And every now and then we've even revisited one.
Right.
But back in the 90s, late 90s, we got pretty involved in 203K renovation consulting.
Okay.
And that program went squirrely and went away, and we're back at it again. We're immersing back into it anyway, getting back into that. Lots of marketing things have failed over time.
Right.
You know, I guess I fail so much, I don't give it much thought, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, I've also heard it, praised that you fail 7 times, something for every success you have. So, if you failed 5 or 6, you're getting really close. So keep at it.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that's been all that interesting. But the idea, especially in the marketing and business development, we're always trying something. I mean, we think it through. We try to bring in expertise to guide us through it and see what comes of it. One year, I'll give you an example. About a half a dozen years ago, we got the idea that we were going to do 1-year warranty inspections. So we developed a 3-part letter. I kind of liked it. It looked pretty good. We were working with a list broker to get lists. And I got so excited about it, we bought it for the entire state of Florida. Then I partnered with other companies to do the work. I thought this is brilliant.
It sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, and we spent, this is 10 or 12 years ago, $50,000-$60,000 on direct mail. We committed to it for the year.
Right.
And at the end of the year, I think we made about $106.
So, not good ROI on that.
No.
Investment.
No.
That's about a negative 10,000% there.
Yeah, no. We netted about $100. We covered the cost. Okay. We made no money. The people that we farmed the inspections out to did just fine. My inspectors did just fine. But net,
I see.
We basically got nowhere. And if you had asked me at the start of that and said, hey, we're going to do a warranty inspection program, 3-part direct mail, and nobody was doing direct mail in our world, 10 or 12 years ago.
Right.
What do you think? You'd be like, oh, my God, I'm going to do that too. That sounds brilliant. But, we didn't do it right, and it didn't work.
Right. No, I've got plenty of big ideas. In fact, my kids don't. It's funny. They imitate me sometimes, and they're like, "This is Daddy. He comes home. I got this great idea. And some of them work, some of them flop. Some of them flop spectacularly, but keeps it fun. Well, on the other end of the spectrum, Wally, tell us about a I made it moment, or maybe a better way to say that is I've come a long way. Have you ever had that moment?
I've come a long way. I think, really, if you blend it together, I think that revelation that advertising is an expense, but marketing is a profit center,
right,
was really really important to me to see that difference. That on one side of every media building is where all the people are that want to sell you ads, and on the other side of the building is where the producers and writers and interview hosts and whatnot are. And I made the decision that I would rather hang out with the creatives and the producers and the writers and those folks and try to become one of them rather than hang out on the ad side where I was just writing checks to take up space. Right.
Well, and you, correct me if I'm wrong, but you sell also advertising to contractors and stuff, don't you? Like your website, your radio show, and all that. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Stuff. Yeah, we've got quite a few relationships where we're either endorsing contractors and other types of professionals, frankly. It's not just contractors, but we do that sort of thing. We do interviews and other business development. I actually have a relationship with a full-service media company where we do business development consulting. But it's really interesting when you get deeply involved in those things, the types of businesses and opportunities that parlays into.
Right. And I think it's going to answer one of my later questions about contractors throwing you under the bus. But first, Wally, do you have a favorite book or two books? I'm throwing you a softball here that you could recommend for our listeners. What is it about that book that appeals to you?
And I read, Preston, just like crazy.
Right.
I think Think and Grow Rich is an absolute staple. I love that book. I just finished this week. In fact, Tanya and I went out to Apalachicola for an oyster festival, a special oyster thing as part of our exotic dining. But anyway, you know how some people do books on tape? When
Right.
Tanya and I travel together, I do books on Tanya. You like that?
I did like that one.
Yeah, well, and full disclosure, you know Tanya well. She's a nice girl, and I didn't mean anything bad by it.
Right.
But books on Tanya, as we're driving down the road, she reads to me. We went out to Apalachicola and back, which is about 4.5 hours each way. And the dramatic reading by Books on Tanya was Me, Inc. by Gene Simmons.
Oh, really?
One of the top 10 books I've read in my life. The guy is an absolute genius, and he's very Dan Kennedy-esque. And I know you know Dan.
Right.
That is, he's a take no prisoners, meaning your failure is your own fault. Shut up, get up, dust off, and let's go.
Right. No,
Story is the founder of KISS, which you likely know, but his integration of fame, fortune, how he lives his business life is a model for all of us. He's brilliant.
Yeah, no, I love everything I've ever seen on Gene Simmons. He's a brilliant guy. And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't his mother in a concentration camp in Germany?
His mother and father both were survivors of Nazi concentration camps, and Gene grew up in Israel, dirt poor after his father left. Came to the U.S. when he was 8 years old. He spoke 4 languages when he was 8.
Wow.
But none of them was English.
Oh, goodness. Wow. For some reason I remember this. I saw a thing on Gene Simmons, and I remember his mother always said, every day you're vertical is a good day. And that has always stuck with me. But I'm going to check that out.
It's a wonderful read. If you read it and don't like it, send it to me, and I'll pay you for it. I'll give them out as gifts.
Well, to all the listeners out there, Wally, 2 books he didn't tell you about are his books. The Happy Home Inspector, and what's the second one called? Is it Happy Home Inspector 2 or?
Yeah, it was kind of a revisit. Let me give you the backstory of how and why that occurred and what makes the book really a must-read, to be candid, for home inspectors.
Okay.
In 94, and you started around the same time I did, Preston, but for the longest time in home inspection, you had to explain to the agent what it was, and the real estate agents were always misbehaving. And I thought, I need to write a book that will teach real estate agents how to freaking behave in the real estate transaction. That if they would behave the way I want them to behave, they would close more deals, they would manage their own liability, and they'd have all referral businesses like we do. So I wrote the book, Home Inspection Secrets of the Happy Home Inspector. There's nothing about heat pumps and furnaces and all that crap. All it is a mindset book to teach real estate agents as well as customers how to select a home inspector and how to behave. Here's your user instructions to how to be a real estate agent who's going to work with my company. And as it relates to home inspectors, I don't believe that anyone would agree with every one of my points and positions and methodologies. But what the book does do, it raises every stinking question that you need to answer within your own business in order to run that business successfully with real estate agents and customers.
Right.
Even if you disagree with my position on a particular issue, you got to address the issue and have an answer that works in your own business. So, and I make it real easy to get the book. It's on Amazon and Kindle. In fact, if you're an Amazon Prime member, it's free.
Wow.
You can get it on Kindle for free. You can get it on paperback. But if you go to wallyconway.com, it takes you right there. WALLYCONWAY, wallyconway.com. And while you're there, leave a good review of the book.
Absolutely, and it is a good book, and I use something at least every week, Wally. I steal something from there, and I'll tell you the one I use the most is your analogy of an older house to a '55 Thunderbird. Wally says his dream car is a '55 Thunderbird. And my father's into old cars, so I do know quite a bit about old cars. And the thing about old cars are they're worth a lot more money if you keep them in the original state. If you start modifying them, the value goes down. And so his dream car is a '55 Thunderbird, but by today's standards, it's not going to have anti-lock brakes. It's not going to have airbags, nor would you want to do that to that '55 Thunderbird because the value would go down. So he compares that to an older home. And I think it frames it nicely when someone is buying an older home or sets expectations. And I use that as an awesome metaphor and a way to explain it. I hope you don't mind me stealing that.
Well, the reason you write things is so people will steal it. It's a perfect thing.
I do give you credit, though. I do give you credit for it. Well, good stuff. Well, Wally, tell us about your ancillary services to offer more value. And are you still doing like your speaking of that, I stole that too. I steal a lot of good stuff from Wally. Your 5-star and that sort. Do you still do that?
Well, absolutely. We actually own the trademark on that. You're welcome very much. But the idea came to me about 10 or 12 years ago that the whole world was just too price competitive. So I got the idea, if people are going to give me grief about price, I want to be incredibly expensive. I mean, they're arguing over $5. What's the point of that? Let's argue over $200 or $300. So I thought, okay, that's what I'm going to do. But then I decided to pack it with value. So what most people call upsells and ancillary services, we just stick it all together and call it the package.
Right.
If you got a good package, everything goes well in your life. You know that, Preston.
I hope iTunes doesn't pull this thing.
Well, the idea of the whole thing is you always offer people your package. And then they'll go, oh, my God, it's so expensive. Why? And then as soon as they ask why, you get to tell them everything that's in the package, and 60 to 80% are going to say, okay, I like your package, give it to me. So we do.
Right.
Rather than the more normal thing or common thing, which I find to be abnormal, is you work really hard to sell someone your base level. You're all worn out, they're all worn out, and then you say, you want fries with that. I start right out with a Happy Meal.
Right.
It's worth better.
I hear you. Well, Wally, you've been doing inspections a long time. You're one of the most experienced guys I know. How do you think home inspections will change in the future if you had a crystal ball?
I do have a crystal ball.
Well, what's it say?
Frankly, Preston, we are the crystal ball.
Right.
What I mean by that is smart guys hanging together, exchanging ideas, learning from each other, stealing stuff from each other like you do with me.
Right.
We essentially are working collaboratively to create the world that we see. Here's some things I think we'll continue to see, and I really like that question. I think we're going to continue to see a wider spread in fees. I think the high end is going to get higher, and I think the low end is going to get lower. Mm-hmm. And I think you've got to decide which guy you'd like to be.
Right.
I think we're going to see more local consolidation. For the longest time, early on especially, it was a guy in a truck. And now we're starting to see some companies, yours is a real good example of, 5 guys, 10 guys. There's a few guys out there, even with 20 guys. I think we're going to see local consolidation where there'll be 1 or 2 significantly larger companies. If we have 871 licenses, it's just in our small town, sooner or later there'll be a sort of a local consolidation. Somewhere after that local consolidation, I think we'll see actual attempts again, as we did, 15 years ago, at some national players, not just franchise, but actual more national. I think we're going to see that. And I think the third thing I believe, and you're doing it to a degree, I'm doing it to a degree, hopefully there's more guys working on it, is multiple streams of income, of causing some continuity income or peripheral incomes to come from the relationship from that first inspection. So
no,
I think we're seeing.
Yeah, you're dead on it. And I'm over here amening everything. And I think you'll probably have a good answer to this because of what you said earlier. But Wally, this is a common thing among our listeners. I know. You get a call back. My contractor's out here. He says you should have found this. The old contractor throwing you under the bus. And it does seem like we're taking on more and more liability as time goes on. What are your thoughts? I don't think you can ever totally prevent it, but what are your thoughts on managing it or reducing it?
Well, to me, managing it is a whole different thing. But once it occurs, my deal, first and foremost, is to acknowledge it. Right. Yes, Mr. Sandlin, I understand and respect that you've got that opinion from your plumber. Right. My liability management policy requires me to respond to every and all other opinions. Please have your contractor put that on letterhead, send it over so that I can review it.
Oh, good. No, because that
all the time in a real estate transaction, if it's not in writing, it's not real.
Right. Oh, that's excellent.
Put it on letterhead and send it.
That plumber may also be the brother-in-law who's trying to, between the two of them, trying to figure out how to get some money out of Wally.
Well, here's what we're really doing. What we're saying is, I'm a professional, I'm licensed, I'm this, I'm that. I am an expert, and I've provided a document. And someone is allegedly taking issue with the document. You don't take verbal issue with a document. You
right.
take documentary issue with a document. If they will do that, now I know who the person is, I know what their license position is, and they have to write down whatever's on their mind. This makes about 90% of those contractor SEDs go away, maybe more than that.
Absolutely. And I'm going to steal this from you too, Wally. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, please do.
I'll steal all our good stuff. No, that is excellent. Take it. Man,
but and I try to present that so it's not defensive, Preston. It's not meant to be defensive or intimidating. I respect that. I understand. It may well be that your plumber has a level of expertise and knowledge that is beyond ours. Please have them documented. As long as the documentation can support that position, we will move forward to find a prompt and proper resolution. I'm so thankful that you got that other expertise.
That is excellent, Wally. For all the listeners out there, Wally just dropped a value bomb big time on me as well. Well, Wally, I want to ask your opinion on something. I, and several other inspectors, we want to, speaking of what you're saying, we're professionals. We want to keep it professional and maybe raise the bar a bit. I'm a little bit concerned with the interaction sometimes I see on social media or forums between home inspectors. Do you have any ideas on how we can keep it positive and professional?
Yeah, I don't participate in any of them.
Right.
It just burns too much time, Preston.
Yeah.
I can't qualify I just don't have the time or the interest or inclination to dig through it. If I've got something on my mind, and you know this,
right,
I'm not going to go search in a forum where I can't figure out what the hell's going on. I'm going to call you. I'm going to call Fox. I'm going to call, the usual suspects of guys we know and like and trust and hang with, guys that have been down that path before, where
right.
I can ask a hard question and get an answer. In fact, depending on what the problem is, I'll call 2 or 3 or 4 guys. I get 2 or 3 or 4 different ideas. I go, yeah, okay. I guess I am screwed. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Well, I got to love it, man. It is always fun talking to you. Wally, now remember this is a G-rated show, or at least I told iTunes that. So with that in mind, what is the craziest, wildest, or weirdest thing you found on a home inspection?
I was crawling under a home in the historic part of town, and I crawled up on a guy under there. I found the body.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
And,
holy cow.
Well, you never know what you're going to find, and I'm usually pretty prepared for about anything, but I'm crawling along, and there's a pile of blankets, and it was in a neighborhood where, that wasn't all that odd, and I saw the top of a guy's head, and he didn't move. I crawled back out, went over to police substation was, just a couple blocks away. Went over to the police substation, and they came out, guns drawn, believe it or not.
No goodness.
Yeah, well, I don't know if the guy's alive. Is he dead? Is he? Who knows what the hell's going on? But they, it's kind of funny. You know, I'm crawling through crawl spaces all day. You're crawling through crawl spaces all day. I don't think much about it. Police officers with guns and protective vests and all that, man, they looked under that crawl space like, dude, I'm not going under there. What do you want me to do? Anyway, what ended up happening is I crawled up upon a homeless fellow living under there, and I startled him, and he just laid still. I went back out, and he scooted, and nobody got hurt, and made for a fun story.
Wow. Yeah, I've had a couple of homeless. I've never encountered them in a crawl space. I had one in a utility building once. It was kind of the same thing. I saw him out of the corner of my eye, and I was like, I'm going to give him an opportunity to get out, and he did. But I don't. I've
had the police clear buildings for me.
Wow.
I've done abandoned multifamily in various parts of town, and got at the local stop station. Hey, I'm going into this building. I believe that there may be folks living there that aren't supposed to live there. Can you go with me so we can safely clear the building? And I've done that probably 3 times.
Yeah, you have to be careful when you're, the vacant homes and the multifamily and that sort of thing.
Sure.
Well, Wally, we're winding down here, and you've been so gracious with your time and dropped so many value bombs on us. Do you have a training resource or an internet resource you'd be willing to share with everyone?
I don't know what you mean, Preston. What sort of, in what category?
Well, do you have like an app that you like to use or something you found training that helps you train with you guys? Just sort of a resource sort of thing, or a marketing resource you would recommend? Anything like that? Or like a Dropbox or something along that line? Anything you use a lot?
Well, that's a good question. I use so much stuff, it's hard to say. I think at some point in time I'm doing enough stuff and you're doing enough stuff, I don't even realize what's very special.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's all right. I didn't mean to stump you or anything.
No.
Well, I
don't really have one. I
can tell you a training and a marketing resource is to listen to your radio show. How can is there, obviously most people listening aren't in Jacksonville, so how can they listen to it over the internet, Wally?
I've been really fortunate with the radio show. I've been doing it for 12 years. And I know there's a lot of other guys around the country doing radio shows. I've been really fortunate with it. We're on the right station, meaning it's the largest, most powerful, most diverse, most listened to station in our market.
Okay.
And they broadcast simultaneously on AM and FM, iHeartRadio. They broadcast or deliver audio in every known methodology. But the easiest thing to do for somebody out of our area is WOKV.com, WOKV.com. And from there, you can either stream live, they can download the podcast, you can do anything and everything. But they have been an amazing, amazing resource. It's really cool. When you call on a business owner or anybody and you say, hey, Preston Samuels here from Carolina Home Inspection, they may or may not be too interested. But as you know, even from your podcast and your other things you're doing, when you call on someone as the host of the Home and Garden Show on WOKV, they almost have to find out what's on your mind.
Oh, yeah. No, my ears perk up because every once in a while I'll get a call. And, as long as I don't think it's like some sort of, watchdog investigative reporter, I'm all over it.
Well, see, I like them, too. In fact, our local guy, the TV guy, Ken on your side, Ken Amaro.
Every market has
home. I've inspected his mother's home. And if you work the media public relations thing hard, it doesn't happen overnight. But if you commit to it and you become the media go-to person for whether it doesn't matter whether it's in print or radio or on television, that is immensely valuable. You in fact, on our website, here's a pearl for you. Okay. Every single website, no matter your business, should have a media page.
Okay. No, that's excellent. For every time.
Everyone, all the folks in media, they're all there trying to fill space.
Right,
whether it's TV space, radio time, or print, and they're always Googling stuff. So if they Google home inspections and your site comes up and they find out and they see right on there you have a media tab,
right.
That's telling them, oop, that's Preston, he gets it, and then any media you've ever done, no matter how old or doesn't matter what it is, you can go to our website. I actually own a domain, Preston, you'll like this, MrHomeInspection.com.
Nice.
MrHomeInspection.com is me. But if you go there, if you want to steal some stuff, go to MrHomeInspection.com, and you can see how simply we've used our media page. But its whole intent is to, when a person in the media ends up there and they see media tab, they're calling. They're going to call.
Excellent. That is a huge value bomb.
I should have shared that with you privately.
I know. I was sitting there thinking that. I was like, doggone it. Now everybody's going to do it. No, just kidding. Just kidding to the listeners. But not to hold you up too long, Wally, but I just wanted to make sure, too, that all the listeners got the name. It's your show on WOKV.com. It's the Home and Garden Show, correct?
The Home and Garden Show, that's right. Yeah.
Wally Conway. Cool. Okay, Wally, what is the best part of your job and why, and what's the worst part of your job and why?
The best part is, frankly, doing things like this. That sounds kind of corny, but media marketing and business development is a hobby, is a passion. And that's absolutely the best thing. Anytime I'm writing or blogging or speaking or marketing is absolutely the best part of the business for me.
Right.
My least favorite thing is managing complaints that are real.
Me too.
When I review, I try to review things with a very objective eye. And when a person has a complaint, I make the assumption that what they're saying is absolutely truthful and correct. And then I bounce that against all the documents and information I can get, that our inspector did. And when I find a point of vulnerability, I just want to come out of my chair. It just crazy. I'm not mad at the customer, and I'm almost not mad at our guy. I'd sit there and I go, my God, these people have entrusted us with hundreds of thousands of dollars in investment, and they've paid us $800, $1,000, $2,000, and we've let them down.
Right.
And that drives me crazy because it means every piece of effort for 20 years that we've put into getting the opportunity to inspect that individual's home, we've erased.
Right.
I don't mind complaints from crazy people. That's just fun. But when I discover that we've made a mistake, that just pains me. I hate that.
No, I'm right there with you, and there's times, I just told my guys, we've got to step up here. I mean, the best thing we can do at this point is, figure out where we went wrong and make sure that doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
But anyway, well, moving along, we're almost done here. You sailed right through, Wally, and give us some great stuff. Is there anything you're working on right now that has you jacked up or stoked or excited about?
Writing another book, that's always fun.
Cool.
I did a presentation at NAR, the National Association of Realtors, a few years back, which was a high honor to be able to speak at NAR. But anyway, it was called The Compelling Case for Listing Inspections.
Right.
And, I have worked so hard and failed so many times at trying to get listing inspections to be normal.
Right.
That I'm actually writing another book on it, and it's kind of the follow-up to the last book. Actually, the last book went to #1 on Amazon in the category of real estate sales, which is pretty crazy.
Cool.
If for no other reason, a person should buy it and read it and say, how on God's earth did a home inspector get a book to go #1 in the category of real estate sales? But that's pretty cool. It's also good marketing. But anyway, so I'm working on a book that relates to that. And frankly, if anybody would like to be a part of that, if you write me something 700 to 1,000 words, a story, an anecdote, or a story of how a listing inspection did something specific for a customer, for an agent, I will be happy to try to integrate those right into the book.
Oh, sweet. What should they email it to you? Is there an email address?
Yeah, Wally, Wally, at MrHomeInspection.com.
Ooh, cool. I might have one or two anecdotes for you. Another thing I just thought of, Wally, when this book comes out, home inspectors could get this and, maybe present it as gifts to some top real estate agents or use some stuff from it and maybe come up with a presentation that'll help their business as well,
Yeah, we've had people do that quite successfully. It's really interesting. We're all pretty egocentric, we home inspectors. We think we're pretty smart. We think we're great consultants. We think.
Right.
But it's interesting. You can really leverage the power, I call it the power of celebrity, the power of the other guy's expertise by sharing things like that. I use things from you, as you know. Quite
right.
regular,
I saw him here.
other guys around town. It's not enough to say I'm the smartest guy on the block. It's much more powerful to say I hang out with the smartest guys in the country.
That's what I'm doing with this podcast. I get to hang out with you.
I really applaud that because we get so much better individually when we share things and when we carry the message from other guys and ladies. We just get better. A good old Navy term is a rising tide lifts all boats.
Right.
The more good things you do in your business and share, and it's not just from guys around the country, but in your own community, in your own market area. If I can do something to make another guy better and he raises his prices, well, heck, I'm going to raise mine too.
No, it helps all. It helps all.
You either follow each other on the way down the drain or you follow each other on the way to better things. So I'm a big fan of using other people's things. But we've had people resell our books. We've had people do realtor presentations and either give them away or sell them away or use it as a reference source for the story. One of the interesting things, when you use the other guy's stuff,
mm-hmm.
No, you don't get credit for it, but you also don't get blamed when there's disagreement or
I like it, Wally. I like it.
So it's an easy way to say, let's say there's a point in the book that you agree with, that you're having frustration with in your market. You can share that and say, hey, there's this knucklehead down in Florida. He's been on HGTV, wrote a book. Look what this idiot said. And the real estate agent says, I don't think he's an idiot. I agree with that. Now you've got your point across, but you didn't have any risk in delivering the message. Because you said I was an idiot, you blamed it on me, and then the agent said, no, let's give that a try. But at the same time, if the agent said, boy, you're right, that guy's a stooge, then you had no risk.
When that 55 Thunderbird crashes, I'm like, it was Wally's idea.
Exactly correct. Yeah. Buy that book.
Yeah, I hear you.
Buy $100.
No, it's good stuff. And if somebody, if they buy it from Amazon, but they see you in person, you would autograph it for them, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. I've got an autographed copy.
I got to tell you that. I know we're up against the time. I got to tell you that it's a funny thing.
Okay.
The book is amazing. Did you ever give someone your business card or a brochure and they ask you to autograph it?
No. No.
Well, me neither. But it's really comical. If you think of the book as a brochure, someone will give you money for your brochure and then ask you to sign it.
That is true. Excellent way to think. I need to write a book. Just three more questions, Wally. I'm sorry. I'm holding you.
No worries.
This one, you'll see the question behind the question. If you had to move to a brand new town equal to the size of Jacksonville, but you knew no one, but you still have all the knowledge you currently have, all your own equipment, room and board taken care of, and you have $5,000, what are you going to do that first week? Broad strokes.
I would buy the list of the top 20% of agents.
Okay.
I would create a three postcards, direct mail. I would mail to them and invite them to an event.
Right.
And then at the event, I would present the what and the why and the value position to work with us.
Good stuff, Wally. Well, last two questions, Wally. Is there anything I should have asked you, but I didn't?
That you should have asked me. Who's your favorite artist?
My favorite artist, Edward Hopper. Well, I got many, but Edward Hopper is probably my favorite, and I like all the Impressionists. And I know there's home inspectors going out there going, these guys are fruity. No, my mom was an artist, and I was always the kid that, like, it's like, he doesn't. It was always on my report card. I think he could do better in math and reading, but boy, that kid could draw. And I guess that got passed on or something. I was always the kid that drew on the bullet, drew the stuff for the T-shirt or whatever. So anyway, still like it.
I love seeing your artwork. I watch it all the time. I'd love to know where to buy it. And I have to flatter you. I have such respect for you. And you and I have been together in a lot of different scenarios.
Right.
The way you handle yourself personally, the way you care to your daughters and your wife and your family, and the things that you do in your community, you are not a home inspector to emulate. You are a man and a person that is really, really, I have a tremendous respect and admiration for you, and I love all the things you do, and I think you're awesome.
Well, thanks, Wally, and back at you. I've been modeling. It's funny. We find ourselves in situations, and you could ask my wife this. I've actually said this. What would Wally do in a situation like this? So I kind of need that. What would Wally do? WWWD. Well, Wally, you've been so gracious with your time, and I know the listeners appreciate it. You dropped value bombs all over the place. But just one last time, if people want to get in touch with you, or they want to listen to your radio show, or they want to buy your books, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
The very best way is MrHomeInspection.com. If you go to MrHomeInspection.com, you're one click away from the radio show, you're one click away from the book, you're one click away from my email. But the world, my universe begins at MrHomeInspection.com.
I hear you. Well, Wally, go be good to that pretty wife of yours, and I really appreciate your time, sir.
All right, hug the bride for me, buddy. I'll talk to you later.
All right, thanks, Wally.
Bye, sir.
Bye.
You have been listening to the Successful Home Inspector podcast, where we share funny stories and we talk about how to increase your business, and we share some success stories and some not so success stories that we can learn from. We're also here to share resources. You can find out more about today's show in show notes at the successfulhomeinspector.com. Thanks for listening.